If you have very little time or you just want to know how to qualify for this airdrop, just use the timestamps in the description of this video and jump straight to the zkSync airdrop checklist section. If you're interested to know what zkSync is and to know what you're investing in, and you also want to know which criteria I selected and why, then sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. So, first things first, you need to know what you are investing in. zkSync is a layer 2 solution that will solve the congestion problems that the Ethereum network has. I mean, if you have been using Ethereum in the past weeks or even past months, you probably have paid $10, $20, or maybe even more for a transaction, and that's insane. So in other words, layer 2 solutions, they aim to lower the gas fees, create faster transactions, and have better scaling for the network overall. Now the reason why this one is called ZK is because it uses a technology called zero knowledge proof. To many in the community, this is the most promising layer 2 technology to date. Of course, if you've been in the space for a while and you hear layer 2, you're probably thinking about Polygon. But technically, they're not considered a true layer 2 solution. The first true layer 2 solution was Optimism, which dropped their token last year, followed by Arbitrum, who did their airdrop this year as well. So both Optimism and Airdrop use a technology called optimistic rollups. Now that we know what zkSync is, the next question you have to ask, what are the chances of an airdrop? Well, the rumors around the zkSync airdrop have been going on since the launch of their testnet last year back in February. The good thing is, it never got denied by the team, so that's always a good sign. On top of that, last month zkSync officially launched their alpha mainnet, which means that if there will be a token, it will happen pretty soon. Add to this the fact that dropping a token has proven to be a very successful strategy for both Optimism and Arbitrum, then you can imagine that it's pretty tempting for zkSync to do the same. And if that wasn't enough, you can definitely not discount the fact that Polygon just launched their own ZK solution, making them a true layer 2 solution as well. And of course, they beat zkSync to the punch, which means that the competition is definitely heating up for the ZK rollup solutions. It also means that zkSync will have to do anything they can to grab the attention of the public. And what better way to do that than do a very nice airdrop? If you're still watching this video, it means you're at least a little bit excited about this airdrop. The next question is, how do we qualify? Well, qualifying for airdrops has become increasingly complex, and we have seen that every project learns from the previous one. I think the mother of all airdrops is the Uniswap airdrop. Back then, back in 2020, every single wallet that ever did a transaction received 400 Uni tokens. Since that day, the airdrop requirements have definitely evolved, and with Arbitrum, we've seen a more complex one, where we take a look at the Optimism one. We see that a big portion of their criteria was focused on people who were active in the Ethereum community in general and not specifically using their solution. Personally, I think the Optimism one was a bit of an outlier, so we're going to take a look at the Arbitrum airdrop requirements. First of all, because it was the latest one, and second of all, it was really successful, so it makes sense for other teams to take a look at what they did. Now, for those of you who really want to dive into the details of the Arbitrum airdrop system, I suggest that you take a look at the Arbitrum DAO documentation. I'll put a link in the description, and there you'll see all the details that you can imagine about how this point system worked. All right, let's go from top to bottom. And of course, the first thing you have to do with any airdrop is that you need to bridge your tokens to the network. In this case, they had two networks, so they had Arbitrum 1 and Arbitrum Nova. Second thing they did was take a look at how long you were active on the chain. Of course, this is not something you can change for zkSync, but it does mean the sooner you get started with qualifying for the airdrop, the better. After that, we see the transaction volume. This, of course, makes sense. If you want to use the network, you will have several transactions. I think it would be good to aim for at least 10 transactions on the network. This goes hand in hand with transaction volume. And in this case, they had several ranges. So first of all, we had $10,000, which I think is achievable. Then we have $50,000 and $250,000, which is probably not achievable for most of us. Now, why do I say that $10,000 is probably achievable? Well, imagine that you transfer $500, then it means that you just have to do 20 swaps. So if you do $500 USDC to USDT, and you do that several times, then you can easily get to $10,000 in transaction volume. The next one will probably be more difficult for us. This is the total amount that you transferred to the ecosystem. For Arbitrum, the minimum was $10,000, and then it goes up. The last criteria that they had was specifically for Arbitrum Nova. Now, when it comes to Arbitrum, they added the Arbitrum Nova solution pretty late, and that's why they don't have that many criteria specifically for Arbitrum Nova. So the only thing you had to do have at least 3 transactions to get these extra points. Now, before you panic, again, this was a point system, and the minimum you needed to have was 3 points, and then you already got an airdrop. Everything else was just bonus. Alright, now that you know what zkSync is and what the potential criteria can be, let's apply this to our zkSync airdrop. So the first thing we'll have to do is bridge tokens, and for this we go to the official website. Again, I'll put a link in the description. On the website, we go to network, and then we click bridge. Next thing you do is connect your wallet and make sure that you have some Ethereum in that. Personally, it wouldn't surprise me that they require a minimum amount of Ethereum to be transferred, so I suggest that you transfer at least 0.05 Ethereum to the zkSync network. As we can see, the gas fees are high again on Ethereum, so this is exactly why we need layer 2 solutions. Next, we click deposit and we sign the transaction. As soon as we have some Ethereum on zkSync, we can start using the network. Now, before we can start using the network, we'll have to add the zkSync network to our MetaMask and, of course, change from Ethereum to the zkSync network. To do this, just go to chainlist.org, type in zkSync, and then click Add to MetaMask. Right now we have Ethereum in our wallet to pay for the transactions, and we are on the right network. The next thing we have to do is choose an application and start doing transactions. The application I like to use is called ZyncSwap, and it is very similar to Uniswap, as you can see. So once we arrive on the website, we connect our wallet, and then we click Trade. And over here we can exchange our Ethereum to, for example, USDC. Now it is very important to always keep some Ethereum in your wallet, otherwise you cannot pay for the transaction fees. In this case, I have 0.2 in my wallet, and I will transfer 0.1 to USDC. The only thing I have to do now is click swap, and then sign the transaction in my wallet. Personally, I always try to do at least 10 different transactions, and I think it's also interesting to use different applications. Now, to know which other applications you can use, you can go to the zkSync ecosystem page. I'll put a link in the description of this video. On this page, I suggest that you click Live on Era, and then you start looking for DeFi applications because that's usually the easiest thing to use. Now, if you jump back to the Arbitrum airdrop, we remember that transactions over time are usually important as well. So for this reason, I strongly suggest that you don't just do a few transactions today, but that you continue doing transactions in the upcoming weeks, and you continue to do this until the airdrop is official. So with some luck, you'll be able to get some transactions in April, some transactions in May, and maybe even some transactions in a third month, for example, in June. Either way, I think you will understand that it's important that you start doing transactions today and that you don't postpone. Another criteria that some protocols have applied in the past is providing liquidity. But to provide liquidity, you could go to the ZyncSwap website, go to pools, choose one of these pools. If you're providing liquidity, you always have risk of impermanent loss. So if you don't want that risk, you can choose a stablecoin pool like this one. Then you provide BUSD, which is Binance USD, and USDC. Normally, of course, with stablecoins, the price will stay the same, so you don't have a risk that the price is going up and down. Personally, I'm going to leave the liquidity in until the airdrop is official, and then I'll take it out and use it for something else. Another thing you can do is mint an NFT. For this, I used MintSquare. Then you just connect your wallet, just as you'd used to, and then go to one of the collections. Next thing I did is sort from low to high, because I think by default it's on recently listed. So I simply bought one of these floor NFTs and I put them up for sale right away, so just to get a few transactions and to mix things up. Now, interesting about MintSquare is over here you can see that they also support Starknet, and Starknet is also a potential airdrop for this year that you can take a look at. Last but not least, zkSync has two networks. They have the first network that they started with, which is now called zkSync Lite, and then they have the new one, which they recently launched, which is zkSync Era. Now, personally, I don't think they will be rewarding too much activity on zkSync Lite, but if you want to play it safe, you can do some transactions on there as well. Now, again, very important, these are two different networks. So if you put money on the zkSync Era network, you cannot use it on the zkSync Lite network. So if you have a limited budget, it means you will have to send it to the zkSync Era first, and then send some more money, some more Ethereum to the zkSync Lite network as well. And sadly, if you're paying $16 to $20 for a transaction just to get the funds on there, this might get a little bit expensive. On the other hand, if you have enough funds and you don't mind spending these kind of gas fees, you can give this one a try. The application that I use to get some transactions on the zkSync Lite network is called zkSync. As you can see, this is a trading platform, so the only thing that I did was create a few transactions, switch from USDC to Ethereum and back. Alright, now you know what to do. There is one more thing that I would like to say, and that is be very careful. This is a highly anticipated airdrop, and it also means that people will try to scam you. There will be no secret announcement, there will be no secret claim page, and no one of the zkSync team will ever reach out to you. And definitely never ever ever give your seed phrase to anyone. It's also important to realize that every transaction you do on the zkSync network costs money. And at the time of writing, the transaction cost is several dollars, and yes, half of that or more is being refunded, but it still means that you're paying a dollar or more for each transaction. So for example, if you want to do 100 transactions in order to pump up your transaction value, that means you'll be spending at least $200. And personally, for me, $200 is still a lot of money. I know there are people out there who don't care about $200, but it is important to keep in mind that the zkSync airdrop is not guaranteed, and we have no clue if it will be worth $200 or more. Right, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button and don't forget to post a little comment because that will help push this video in the YouTube algorithm. Also, if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button right now, and then I'll see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.